Hello everyone, Mark here, and today I'm just going to give you a very quick rundown of how I play Holy Paladin currently. By the time I'm recording this video, I've done 4 or 5 Mythic Zeros, and I have a pretty good idea of how Holy Paladin is going to be like on Mythic Plus. Like prediction, maybe it's going to be pretty good. I don't know how far I'm going to be able to push, but I'm going to tell you how I'm playing it and how you can use it to do your world tour before the week ends, and how you can have a lot of fun with this class. So I'm not going to go through every single ability that Holy Paladin has. I'm going to assume that you have some general knowledge of its abilities. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how I'm distributing my buttons. This is very personal, but my keybinds might tell you a little bit about how I play this class. So on number 1, I have Judgment. Number 2, Eternal Flame, which is, let's say the upgraded version of Word of Glory for people that are running Herald of the Sun. You have Shield of the Righteous on 3, you have Holy Shock on 4, and you have Holy Light on 5. And F1 is going to be Flash of Light, F2 is going to be Divine Toll. Those are the abilities that I press the most. Also, I have Cleanse on F3. I used to play this class very differently when I had Healbot or Voodoo, but now I'm playing it like this. So what do? I always cast a rotation between Judgment. I always try to keep it in cooldown unless someone's dying and I need to heal them. I use a lot of Holy Shock, which is buffed by a lot of talents. Like if you just go to your talent tab and you just type Holy Shock, you're going to see all of the abilities that have synergy with that ability. So bottom line, press it, okay? You have Holy Light. It's more relevant because it got buffed and there are some talents that make it more powerful. So basically you want to use Holy Light when you feel like you're holy shocking something and you're using maybe Flash of Light, maybe you're using Eternal Flame and they don't go up, or maybe they're getting hit very hard. You just Holy Light them and you're going to bring them back up to 100%. But it consumes a lot of mana. So you don't want to spam that unless it's an emergency. If it's an emergency, just forget about how much mana you're using, okay? Just heal everyone back up, and when you're more stable, you can get a little bit of mana back in the following way. Remember, Holy Shock, there's a talent of Holy Shock that refunds 50% of its mana cost if it's cast on an enemy. So maybe if everyone's like healthy relatively, you want to use this on enemies rather than Holy Shocking someone that is almost full health. If they're not receiving damage, you could just leave them like that because there are going to be a lot of passive healing effects of you and your teammates probably. You want to Holy Shock enemies, get some mana back. You're going to generate holy power and you're going to reduce the cooldown of Judgment. Remember, there's a very important talent that kind of changes your playstyle a little bit. It's called Crusader's Might. Crusader's Might makes Holy Shock reduce Judgment's cooldown. So you use Judgment and then you Holy Shock twice and then you have Judgment again. Why do you want a Judgment and Holy Shock that much? Because it generates holy power. So you have 2 options. If you have 3 holy power or more, you can use Eternal Flame to heal somebody. That's probably a good idea if someone's receiving damage, and you leave a little dot on them to heal them after, for a couple of more seconds. For 16 more seconds. And you have the option of using Shield of the Righteous. Okay, Shield of the Righteous reduces Holy Shock's cooldown by 2 seconds. That is huge. And it gives you some mana back. So if you have to cast a heal, just cast Eternal Flame. Maybe you could even cast Light of Dawn. I have Light of Dawn in one of the other buttons of on my keyboard next to the number 1. Because whenever everyone's receiving like mild amounts of damage, I just Light of Dawn them to just keep them at the same percentage, okay? But generally speaking, if no one's like being damaged too bad, you want to press Shield of the Righteous because there are other talents that are going to be benefited by that. I could just filter it here. So Shield of the Righteous has 2 main talents. It's not a lot, but it really helps. It basically, there's 1 talent that buffs its damage, and every time you use Shield of the Righteous, you have a chance to trigger Divine Purpose. What does Divine Purpose do? Basically, it gives you like a free 3 holy power proc. So you're gonna have like a very noticeable light in your screen that signals that you have divine purpose, and you could just cast an ability for free and it's gonna deal more damage or it's gonna heal more. So that is kind of relevant. So you can just spam Shield of the Righteous and you have a 35% chance to activate divine purpose. So one divine purpose can activate another one, and you could just holy shock, and then Shield of the Righteous several times, and then you have your both holy shock charges. You can judgment and then holy shock again and again and again, and that is basically the rotation that you're going to do whenever you don't have to heal anybody. If you change to healing mode, you could just use Eternal Flame, Light of Dawn. Light of Dawn is not that strong, but it feels good. It feels good to press, especially if you're getting like a heavy AoE damage. You want to combine that ability with the following cooldown. This is going to be your cooldown number 1 and arguably one of the best, and in every pack you should keep it on cooldown because it has a very short cooldown. I'm talking about Divine Toll. Divine Toll is very important because it's 30-second cooldown, which means that you're going to cast like twice or 3 times every pull, maybe even more if the pull is long. And it's going to do several things. So remember, as a Herald of the Sun Holy Paladin, you have something called Dawnlight. Dawnlight, just to keep it simple, it damages enemies and it heals allies, okay? Divine Toll activates Dawnlight on 2 targets. That's good. More healing, more damage. Great. But also, this is the mechanic that I really like. Divine Toll casts Holy Shock at 60% effectiveness to 5 targets. So it's going to be 5 Holy Shocks. You saw the amount of talents that actually buff Holy Shock. Also, the tier set of Season 1 of Midnight buffs Holy Shock even more. So it's going to be a very important ability. But listen to this. There's one talent that is very important called Infusion of Light. And this actually changes a lot of the playstyle of Holy Paladin. Basically, Holy Shock has a 10% chance to empower your next spellcast. Basically, if you use it with Flash of Light, its healing is increased by 200% and it becomes an instant cast. Okay? That is very strong. So you have Judgment. If you Judgment with Infusion of Light, you're going to trigger Greater Judgment, prevents an additional 150% damage dealt by the target, and it generates 1 more holy power. So basically you mitigate a little bit of damage and you generate more holy power. So if you're in like damage mode and you're not trying to heal anybody, just use Judgment and you're going to get 1 more holy power for your rotation of Shield of Righteous, Holy Shock, Judgment, and so on. If you need to heal somebody when you have to use Infusion of Light, that feels great. But when you press that button of Divine Toll, you have to take this other talent into account. Light of Dawn and Holy Shock have a 100% chance to cast again at 15% effectiveness. So it's going to cast twice. So you're casting 5 Holy Shocks twice. And every Holy Shock has 10% chance to trigger Infusion of Light. So you're going to have 1 Divine Purpose, because also Holy Prism or Divine Toll trigger Divine Purpose. So you're going to heal everybody with Holy Shock. That is in and of itself very powerful. You're going to trigger Divine Purpose, which is going to make your next healing or damage ability deal more damage or deal more healing. And you're going to have Infusion of Light. And since you're casting 5 Holy Shocks twice, you're going to get 5 Holy Power. So you're going to get a lot of healing potential, a lot of like a healing burst, if you will. You could just spam Light of Dawn if that's what you want to do, because a lot of people are getting slammed. Or because of your beacons that I will discuss very briefly in a bit, healing someone with Eternal Flame might be more beneficial, depending on how much damage the party's receiving. So very short, you have 3 beacons now. You have the first one, which is Beacon of Light, that you can improve with this talent. Basically, it reduces damage taken by the target, and every healing that I do to someone else also heals my beacon. Great. Also, I'm running Beacon of Faith. This is a lot more powerful than Beacon of Virtue right now. Beacon of Virtue is like you activate Beacon to everyone. Everyone receives less damage and everyone gets healed equally. Maybe some builds will change this, but I feel more comfortable with 2 beacons right now. This second beacon is going to be a little bit weaker, but it's very important. So the first thing that you need to do when you start an instance, put your 2 beacons on the weakest targets or the classes that don't have as many defensives. You can change this as you go on the instance. You can see who's receiving more damage and just put the beacons on those targets, and they're going to get healed. When you heal the tank, they're going to get healed a little bit more, so that is important. Now, the new Apex talent is actually very, very interesting. It's called the Beacon of the Savior, and it does a lot of stuff, so I'm going to read them for you. While in combat, apply a Beacon of the Savior to the lowest health ally within 30 yards that causes your direct healing on others to also heal that ally for 25% of the amount healed. So it's another beacon, like always. Okay, but listen to this. Beacon of the Savior transfers to the lowest health ally within 30 yards if it heals a target past maximum health or if an ally drops below 50% health. So this beacon is going to be on the target that it needs to be all the time. Once that target is healed, it's going to jump onto the next lowest health target. So every time it jumps to another target, it's going to jump to someone that really needs it, and that is great because you don't have to manage it. It does it automatically. And this is the rank 2, which you can improve twice. Beacon of the Savior transfers an additional 10% of the amount healed. That's great. And allies with Beacon of the Savior receive 20% more healing from you, so you can top them off faster, quicker. That's great. And listen to the rank 3. Every 8 seconds, or when Beacon of the Savior transfers to an injured target, they are granted an absorb shield that prevents the next 4,800 whatever damage and reduces damage taken by 10% for 15 seconds. So you really want to heal the targets that have Beacon of the Savior and just keep them up. Just keep them up. If you can holy shock them so that Beacon of the Savior just jumps to the next target, just do it, because your whole party is going to have a 10% 15-second reduction of damage. That is huge. If you can play around this, this is going to be monumental. So, Flash of Light used with Infusion of Light also is buffed. Like, you have other talents that give it a lot more healing. You also, if you use Judgment with Infusion of Light and you get 2 charges of Holy Power, you also get 0.5% of your maximum mana. So Infusion of Light is great. It's awesome. So Holy Shock a lot, okay? That's going to be one of your main sources of healing and Holy Power. And last but not least, there's one talent that I think is pretty amazing, like the other defensive cooldown, maybe not defensive, but you know, the next cooldown that you're going to use a lot is Avenging Wrath. Basically, you do more damage, you have more critical strike, you do more healing, and you have a talent that is called Hand of Divinity that basically gives you 2 holy lights, instant cast, and 50% less mana used. That is great for when your tank is about to die. You just use this and you just bring them back up with 1 or 2 holy lights if you need to, you know, and then you can stabilize the party with the healing buff that you have, okay? You could also combine this with Divine Toll, and that would be like such a ridiculous amount of healing. Okay. The third cooldown is pretty straightforward. You always want to use Devotion Aura, and whenever you know that the party's going to get a lot of damage, you just use Aura Mastery, and Aura Mastery is going to give you a 12% reduction of damage to everyone, and that makes it a little bit easier. You can combine this. You should always combine a cooldown with Divine Toll, because you're always going to have Divine Toll. It's 30-second cooldown, so you can combine your defensive cooldowns. Maybe it's a trinket that you are going to get, and that mitigates damage, and you combine it with Divine Toll. You combine Wings with Divine Toll. You can combine Aura Mastery with Divine Toll. I don't recommend combining Aura Mastery with Wings, because you're going to burn all of your healing potential in one sitting, and it's going to be 2-minute cooldown. I don't recommend it, but if you feel like you need to, just do it, okay? This is how I play Holy Paladin. Of course, you need to dispel every time you can, and you have this talent called a Just Reward that basically, when you remove an effect from an ally, you heal them. That feels so good. Like, it's amazing. So if you want a more detailed guide, just let me know in the comments, and I can go like step by step every talent. One of the other talents that I think is worth mentioning, that I really like, that I normally change between builds if I feel more comfortable with one or the other, but it's called Selfless Healer. So this Selfless Healer lets me be healed by Flash of Light and Holy Light's percentage when I use it in someone else. If I use it on someone else, I get 10% of that healing. And when I use it with Holy Light or with Flash of Light, buffed by infusion of light, it's such a great source of healing. So Holy Paladin right now is, of course, you use Holy Light and it's a big heal, but it's normally about healing a little bit here, healing a little bit there. When you heal a little bit here, the beacons, the 3 beacons get healed a little bit here and there. So it's a lot about small healings. And when you need to, very strong healings that consume a lot of mana, and you get that mana back passively, or you use Shield of the Righteous whenever you have a window of opportunity where the party's not getting damaged like crazy, and you could just dump all your holy power on Shield of the Righteous. That is really, really good. So this is how I play it, and I'm probably going to upload my Mythic Zero runs maybe today, maybe tomorrow, so that you see it, but I just wanted to keep this as short as I could, just to give you like a taste of how this is played. If you have any question about any other ability, I'm sure that there are a lot more things to discuss about Holy Paladin, but for now, that is all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.